optionsprofitcalculator.com and fintel.io.
Perfect. We're live, so everybody, welcome to the stream. I have I have New Fish Big
New
Pond here
Fish
with
Big
me.
Pond here.
Yeah, New Fish Big Pond, and he's going to be going over options calculator, as well as just a whole bunch of different market sentiments, as well as Rocket Lab. We'll briefly going over MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, and we'll try to delve more into who should be delving into options and how to analyze stocks. We're going to keep it more towards beneficial to the user rather than trying to ride one stock or one trend. We're going to try to give you the resources to be able to do that stuff yourself.
All right. So where do we want to start here? Let's um let's start with one of my favorite tools, if that's okay.
Okay.
We'll start with the optionsprofitcalculator.com. I find this tool to be extremely useful. I really like playing options calls. I'm not so much into puts. I'm a bull more than a bear, um, which can be good or bad, I guess, depending on what's going on. But with options profit calculator, it's really simple to use. You get to go in there, you type in your ticker symbol, and it'll bring up the last price quote for you. You can then go down to the options table, to the calls, and to the strike that you have. If it brings up a different Greeks than what you're using, you can put those in the Greeks that you actually have in your call. And then you hit the calculate button, and it gives you price ranges. So let's say you have a $30 strike, but the you expect your price to be at $40 tomorrow. Well, then you don't have to really fool around with the $30 strike range. You can just put in, $35 to $45 to see how much profit you're going to make based upon those ranges. And if it's a weekly call, it'll tell you how much, your theta decay is going to be each day. So if you buy the call on Monday and you want to figure out how much can I get for it on Tuesday, how much can I get for it on Wednesday, what will I get if it's on Friday? Will it be worthless? Will it be, somewhat profitable? It gives you a bunch of great information there. And so, obviously, if you have monthlies, it goes much further than that as well. But it's a really simple tool to use. I really like it a lot. It's pretty accurate, and it really gives me a good idea of what I'm looking for when I play options. When I trade options, because none of this is a game. When I trade options,
Right.
my trading plan is for about a 20 to 30% return, because I've been burned by my own greed in the past. So that's pretty much what I look for. Um, that's just me. I don't know about you, Day Zero. I don't know what your goal is on options there.
So my goal on options is actually pretty degenerate. I'm not gonna lie. Let me tell you guys exactly what's going on, right? So for day zero's options, literally, so I will so if I think a stock's going up, right? Say I think Rocket Labs is about to go up. I'll buy at the money calls, which would be either slightly below current stock price or slightly above current stock price, depending on how far out the call is. If it's a weekly call, I'll have it a little bit in the money. If I have it a little bit further out, it'll be a little bit out of the money. And as the price keeps jumping up and those calls keep getting more profitable, like I keep 1xing those calls, I roll them to the new strike, which is the current stock price, and I'll buy new at the money calls where I can afford more calls since it's from the profit, right? So I just keep rolling them up, rolling them up, rolling them up, collecting more short-term debit to increase my long-term position. And I keep rolling them further out, further out, further out. And then at some point near the top, you have to kind of judge when that top is, of course, which can be risky. But at some point near the top, you start taking profit more and more, and you leave less and less options on the table in case it zeroes out. That's how I made money off of Wolfspeed and MicroStrategy. Thankfully, with MicroStrategy, I pulled a lot of money out right before it crashed, while holding a decent position still. I mean, I still held, 70% of my position, 65% of my position, but I started selling covered calls as well to decrease that risk. And I ended up, with those covered calls premiums, I then bought more defense and prison stocks, and I have 50% of my portfolio uh, in still, and then the other 50% is in other opportunities that are more stable. So that's kind of what happened.
That's a good plan to make a lot of money,
Yeah, it's a
you
really good
know.
plan to make a lot of money, and it's a lot more risky than it is to just hold on to your in the money deep calls. But obviously, if you keep rolling it up, there's more opportunity to make money if it continues to go up. It's just during that economic downturn where you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, I remember when you and I were sort of first starting out, um, we got together and we figured out that Wolf Speed was being shorted.
Oh
And
yeah, with the Fintel data.
yep, with the Fintel data. So Fintel.io is an extremely useful tool. You can go in there, you put your ticker symbol in, and so let's say we'll do Wolf Speed as an example. So you put in Wolf and then short, and then you search. Right? And so then on the top right, there's going to be a link to the Wolf Speed short interest. And so you're going to click that, and then it's going to bring up a little table. It's going to show you what the short shares are, and it's going to tell you what the short interest is. It's also going to tell you the dark pool activity. The problem with that section is only updated once every 2 weeks. So pretty much by the time we get to it, it's useless knowledge to us. It's not really going to help us out a whole lot. So what we have to do is we have to then scroll down through the close to the bottom of the page where we get to the FINRA short volume ratio. And that is going to tell us, it's going to go back about 2 weeks. And that's going to tell us how many short, before you even get to that table, you'll see a table that says short shares available. And that goes by day, if I'm not mistaken.
So right
Or
now
no,
on
that one
stream,
get
I
that
have
one.
it pulled up. I have a pretty good chart here. It looks like it's posted every few days. Obviously, it's lagging a little bit when it comes to positions that are open on the same day as they might not be reported yet. But as we can see on this table, the short volume ratio on Wolfspeed has gone down around 20%, 20 points. It's gone down 20 points within the last 5 days. It's went from about 55% shorts down to 32, meaning that a lot of them are covering their positions, anticipating an increase in stock price.
That's correct. So that's the most useful part of it. That's the most useful part of this Fintel.io to me. Uh, that one is up, that, like you said, that one's updated every day, and it's just valuable knowledge. You can see what the highest rate of short volume was over the past 2 weeks. You can see what it is for or what it was for that current day. At the end, I believe that's updated at the end of the day. But yeah, there's a huge difference between the 25th and the 26th, as day zero just said.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Huge. And then earlier this month, the same month, November 5th, 65 points short volume. Now it's at 32. That means that's a halving of short interest. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And over that same time, we saw the stock go up to $10, and then recede back to, I believe, $8 today. 8.86. So they're
Okay.
considering that it's bottoming out currently, and that they expect it to just continue going up to at least $10, $12. I'm not going to say they're expecting it to go up to $100, right? But they are covering their position because they see it as the lowest it's probably going to get, and 2% short.
Yeah.
So it's not a low
Yeah.
amount, but
They're getting out. They're getting
yeah,
out,
that's what
which
it
is
seems
good
like.
news for shareholders.
Right.
Very good news for
Um,
shareholders.
so what's your thoughts
Um, so
of
yeah, I find this tool to be very useful. Day Zero and I, we did a YOLO a couple months back on this same stock when we figured out it was being shorted, and we made some good money doing that. That was a lot of fun. To me, it's fun to fight the shorts as long as the battle can be won. Some of those battles you can't lose. You got to pick and choose.
I was gonna pull up MicroStrategy short interest and do the same thing real quick. It's being shorted. Oh, okay. It
So
looks like they're covering short positions
that's
actually.
kind
Hold
of
up.
where we're at right now.
This is kind of
Um,
important. So yesterday there was about
it's
46.
been a heck of a week in the market, that's for sure.
Definitely. You can hear me, right? Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week. You can hear me, correct?
Zero, are you there?
Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Sure. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay.
Okay, there we
Can you
go.
hear me
Sorry,
now?
I lost the. I didn't realize that it was having an issue there. Thank you for bringing that up. You can hear me,
Okay.
correct?
Yes, I can hear you. You can hear
Perfect.
me?
Yes, I was going to
All
bring
right.
up that MicroStrategy within the last day has actually had some shorts covering it. Went from about 46% aggregate short volume yesterday to about 39.7% today. That's a difference in about 5 million shares.
So here's the other issue with that. Um, Yesterday, we've been able to figure out Full Porter Bust was kind enough to do some digging into the Bitcoin and just crypto market in general, uh, short shares. And he was able to show data to prove to me and to prove to everybody else that Bitcoin was being shorted up to 60%, up to 60% in certain markets. So that's why we're seeing now. Obviously, people are seeing that Bitcoin is at a high. They want to they want to take some profits, just like you want to take profits when you're trading stock. So they want to take profits on their Bitcoin. But what's happening is the institutions are buying it up, and they're also shorting it, which I don't even understand how you short Bitcoin because that's not my specialty. But what I do know is that it's happening. I've seen the data myself. He got that through CoinGlass, I believe. Um, so that is one reason why, even though the short volume of MicroStrategy is decreasing, that's the main reason as to why the share price is decreasing, since you have all the volatility involved with MicroStrategy. Because if you'll look at the other crypto stocks, I'll use Mara as an example. That's going down too, and that's a direct correlation with the price of Bitcoin.
And then to kind of jump into a little bit different of a topic, just to continue this going, I guess we can look at comments as well. I haven't. Also, MicroStrategy's been going back up overnight, but that could just be a red herring at this point. It's too early to tell on
So
that.
that's pretty common in the overnight hours. I watch MicroStrategy like a hawk. Right now, the overnight hours it is 365.50 is the share price for MicroStrategy. Um, I watch MicroStrategy like a hawk. I've got some sleeping issues as well, so I wake up at all sorts of times and I usually wake up very early in the morning. And so I'll get on my phone and I'll look around. And I notice typically every morning between 4 and 4:30, there's a liquidity sweep of MicroStrategy. Oddly enough, this morning there was not one, and that threw up a red flag to me. I was like, this is different. This is strange. This is not the normal. They didn't do a liquidity sweep for stop losses. And
And then we
we
saw
now
what
know that's
happened around 2 p.m.
yeah, exactly. We now know why. But they usually do it between 4 and 4:30 a.m., which is, you know, pretty interesting to me. It's basically as soon as pre-market opens.
Welcome to the chat, Don Squeeze. I appreciate everyone helping with the mic issue a minute ago. I just unplugged my mic and plugged it back in, and that's what fixed it. Um, Anthony asked a question: what is y'all's plan to capitalize on altcoin season? Um, Probably just miners in general. Like, I'm kind of in some mining companies for Bitcoin. I don't really. So day zero, this is day zero speaking, and I completely think that Bitcoin, possibly Doge, just due to Elon Musk's adoption of it, not due to it being a meme coin, are the only viable. You know, I'm one of those like Bitcoin only enthusiasts. But I will allow Newfish to go over his personal sentiment as well, real quick.
So I don't really involve myself in altcoins very much. If I were going to do any coin other than Bitcoin, I would have three in mind. Solana, which I've made good money with in the past. I mean, we're talking years ago when I traded crypto. But I've made good money with Solana. Bought at the bottom, sold at the top. That was very good. And then Ethereum is always good, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of value in Ethereum. And I don't believe Ethereum's going anywhere. I believe, except for up, you know. And then recently, Audio King has been talking about Doge C, and that seems to have been making some gains. It may have gone down a little bit. I haven't checked it today, but that is another one to keep an eye on there. As far as where I focus on crypto, I focus on mining companies. That's just what I do. I feel that's the safest trade for me personally.
Going into the chat real quick. AG Joel, Newfish is in the stream. We don't have a webcam set up for him. We're in just audio chat to keep it a little bit simpler for the stream. You can hear him, correct? Stream, I believe you can, loud and clear. So Sean said, "Yeah, we all know why on the liquidity sweep." We did have a user ask what a liquidity sweep is, which is actually a pretty good question there. Would you like to answer that?
Sure. So a liquidity sweep, and Day Zero, please correct me if I don't get this 100%. But a liquidity sweep is where you'll have a stop loss set, right? So, most people set a stop loss so that they don't lose too much of their profit or they don't lose too much of their initial investment. And so the institutions will decide how low they want to go, which gives us a good idea. When I can see where the bottom of the liquidity sweep, that tells me as to where they're trying to go throughout the day. And so if they can, let's say you have a liquidity sweep, we'll say Mara is trading at $27, even though it's below that. Let's say Mara is trading at $27 and you have a $25 stop loss. Well, they'll do a liquidity sweep. If they want to get Mara down to $24, they'll do a liquidity sweep down to 24. And what they're doing is they're going through and basically setting up limit buys to buy anything that is around 24 to whatever their other limit is, whatever their top limit is. And That's how they will scrape away your stocks while you're sleeping. So personally, I do not use stop loss because I do know that they hunt for stop loss. I don't know how they do it, but I know that they do it. So I just keep a really close watch on my brokerage throughout the day. Um, I just sort of refresh my screen every 5 seconds or every 20 seconds, and I'm always watching it. I'm paying close attention. I'm fixed to my phone throughout the day. Um, I understand that that is not possible for everyone, and so if you don't have that ability, I would recommend that you use a stop loss. Um, just err on the side of caution, and then as you're making more profit, you want to adjust your stop loss up, right? Because if you've got your stop loss set at 24, but the stock price is at 29, well, you don't want somebody to come in and scoop out your shares at $24. You want them to come and take it out at 29 or 28.50. You want to maximize your realized gains. And that's what this is all about is realized gains. If you see green in your brokerage, but you haven't hit that sell button, it's
It's
not in
not
your bank account
realized.
yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So realized gains are the name of the game. I'll give you a great example. Thursday, my account was at $30,000, but none of those gains were realized until it was way too late. So as of close yesterday, I had lost 20% of my account value, which was all profit, of course. Uh, Nonetheless, it wasn't realized gains. So it wasn't actually profits. It was paper profit, if you will. Not real money and that I could have had. Um, at the same time, everybody wants to see how much we can get. Um, which goes back to me having a trading plan. Um, with shares, I don't really have a set limit. I like to just sort of watch how the stock trades. Um, but with options, I do have a limit of 20 to 30%. Now, like I said earlier, I think I said this today. I sold a Rocket Lab call that I picked up. Um, I picked it up on Friday and I sold it today for 45%. And the reason that I let it go to 45 is yesterday it was only at 10%. And then today when I looked at it, it was at 48%. And I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So let's see if it goes up." And then it went up to 50 and I was like, "Oh, all right. Let's see here." And then it dropped to 45. And that's when I hit the sell button because my trading plan calls for 20 to 30% on options. Is it possible that and this was a January 17th expiration. So is it possible that I could have made more money? Absolutely, it is. It's most likely that I would have made more money. But I've noticed in the past that I have been burned by my own greed. My trading plan also calls to trade without emotion. You got to have a plan, right? Just like anything in life. So before I make a trade, I realize where I'm getting in at. I realize where I want to get out at, and that way emotion cannot get the best of me as long as I follow the rules of my trading plan. Um, and emotion can be fear or greed. It can also be FOMO, which is another form of fear. But I've found that once I learned to trade without emotion, that made me a more profitable trader.
Just so the chat is aware, is fear of missing out, in case anyone was wondering.
Thank you for that clarification.
As far as the stream's comments, barring options, what's a good strat to build a small account faster? My account is too small to buy in bulk. I did post, I think it's about 50 different stocks that are under $25 you can buy right now. Some of them are, you know, in an uptrend, which is good to buy it in. Obviously, do your own research. Moving to the next comment, yeah, don't get greedy is so important. You need to set a bar and be happy when you hit it. That's very true. Welcome to the stream royalty trades. Nice to see you. They wait till you set it
Well, it's a
for the
trade. Good to
stop
see you, bro.
stop loss. In regards to stop loss, he said they wait till you set it and then they go for the stop loss. uh,
That's why I don't do them.
and then let's see. I've been avoiding altcoins until yesterday's stream when he mentioned it. It is altcoin season, so that is a good point. I'm just not going to recommend a specific altcoin for you guys that are into that. Um, but getting
And
back into it,
just,
yeah, I'll shoot it over to
just
you.
real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just real quick, Sir Jack did put out a notice today, put out a post. Guys, please don't be pumping altcoins.
Okay.
If you do want to pump altcoins,
In regards to that, real quick, when he said altcoins, he means not low liquidity altcoins that are pumping up. Like if it's like if
right?
it's a heavy like well known one like Doge or I mean Bitcoin's not an altcoin, but Doge or ETH, anything like that, like obviously that's okay. Pepe even anything that's listed on Robinhood, I generally say would be safe to post about on there. He's talking about low liquidity ones that are pump and dumps, like specifically made to take advantage of people. Just to
Correct,
bring that on
correct.
the
And
clarification.
and no, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And then also he's asked if we are going to do that. He's asked us to use the topic of crypto when we make the post.
Well, the ship is obviously another one that's fine to talk about. Can you explain covered calls a bit? Are you too well versed in covered calls, or would you like me to shoot that over?
So let me start out because today I placed my first covered call, and
Perfect.
so
Yeah.
let me see what I've got, and then I'd love to hear what I don't have
Okay.
because that's what after hour is all about, is gaining knowledge. We are stronger together, you know, and there's so much knowledge out there, guys. All you have to do is ask the questions. There's no dumb questions out there because everybody starts somewhere. So that's the beautiful thing about it.
What stock was it?
So today I increased my position in Mara to 400 shares. And as the price of Mara is dropping, and I know Bitcoin is being shorted, I felt pretty comfortable in selling my first covered call on Mara, especially with this being a short week. We've got the market closed on Thursday, and I believe the market closes at 1 on Friday, although I'm not positive, but I heard that from a source that I trust very much. Um, so that made me comfortable with going ahead and selling my first covered call. So to sell a covered call, you need to first own 100 shares of a stock, and then you'll do a sell to open um, transaction, and you will then choose the strike price at wherever you want it to go to. So you want to make sure that you're making money on your shares as well. So if your cost basis for a share is $25, you at least want to set your strike price for a few dollars above that, just in case they get called away. You'll also be making a premium. So today I sold a covered call on Mara. I did a $27 strike price, which I probably should have gone a little higher, but I feel comfortable with it, with the way things are moving. And my premium was 64 cents per share. So a contract is 100 shares. So that was $64 that I get right away. Now, what I can do is I can keep an eye on this contract, and it's set to expire on Friday. So Friday morning, if I go and look at it and I don't want it to be called away, I can then just buy it back. Hopefully, I don't have to buy it back more expensive. Um,
can also
because it's all
roll it.
about making money, you know? And if it is, yeah, you can always roll it too. You can roll it to a different strike, you can roll it to a different date, um, whatever you want to do. Is that pretty much covered? Am I being a little too vague there,
No, you're not
Day
being too
Zero?
vague. I think it was more of a beginning explanation so they can start into their own research anyways. The only thing I would say is that you can also do a cash. You can either do a poor man's covered call or you can do a cash secured call as well. Like I can go into Robinhood, click sell call, and then I mean I can sell a call without the shares.
So a naked cover call.
Correct. You can do naked covered calls.
But if you're doing those guys, just be prepared that if you do get called away, you will have to provide those shares.
And make
So you
sure
need
that
you
it's
need
out of the money because you do not want to cover those shares on a stock you do not own that did not just go up in stock price by a significant margin. So say you sold a covered on Mara specifically, if you sold a covered $25 call and they got called away, I mean you'd be at break even pretty much. Like you'd get your premium and that's it. So if the price went up to $28 and you sold it for 50 cent premium per stock, you only made 50 cent profit
you
from where
made
you bought it per stock since you bought the stock. I mean, and the person that bought it from you just made the $3 increase that you would have got. Uh,
right.
but say you sell a naked call at $25 and the stock price goes up to $27, you have to buy 100 stocks at $27 and then give them to someone else for the dollar premium. I mean, it's not worth it. But say you're selling a naked cover call at let's see something realistic. $29.50 for November 29th. You could sell as many of those as you want and they might not get filled. And you would just collect the premium. So that's what makes covered calls so naked covered calls, poor man's covered calls so attractive is that you can make a lot of money off of not even owning any shares in the company, but it's risky, obviously, because you're selling something you don't have to people. Um,
Exactly. And you can get burned pretty badly. So if you're unfamiliar with options, uh, I wouldn't recommend it. B, if you're like me and you're unfamiliar with selling covered calls, as I mentioned, today is the first time I've sold a covered call. I want to make sure that I'm protecting my interests as best I can. So that's why I'm doing a true covered call where I actually own the shares. Um, because I don't want to have to go out and spend, you know, if it does go up to 27 or it goes to 29 or whatever, I don't want to have to go out and spend $2,700, $2,900 in order to cover, you know, $100 premium.
Definitely. So switching topics a little bit, let me check the comments real quick, but I believe, do you keep the premium if you roll it? It just depends on if the stock price went up or down, what the going rate for each call is. It's very dependent on that. What about using Delta as a proxy for percentage chance of being in the money? I do not agree with that because it's going off of current stock price and it's not aggregate with the current news cycle. It's just based off of current stock price. Um, and obviously, in overnight markets like right now, that's not going to be the same volume as a regular market. So uh, that was a good explanation. Thank you. Can you please explain what 60% short means for Bitcoin? Yeah, I'll shoot it over to you for that one. What's 60% short Bitcoin mean? It basically means people are shorting Bitcoin, so they're selling Bitcoin that they do not have, and they're gonna buy it back later at a cheaper price. And 60% of the current supply of Bitcoin is currently probably paper traded Bitcoin that doesn't actually exist, that is being sold uh, higher than what they are going to buy it back for. That's a good way to put that, I believe. Do you have any thoughts on
Yes.
that?
No, I agree with you. And so another problem, and I I really don't know how shorting Bitcoin works. But when I think of shorting Bitcoin, I just assimilate it to the stock market. And a problem that we run into with institutions shorting is a lot of times they'll do naked shorts or the naked calls or naked shorts, I'm sorry, and where they don't actually own the shares. And then they don't feel like going out and buying the shares. And so they'll do what's called an FTD, a failure to deliver. And unfortunately, they really don't get into a lot of trouble, although it should be illegal. And I have read articles that says when Trump gets in office, he plans on making naked shorting illegal. For example, in South Korea, if you do a naked short, you can go to prison. That's the laws in South Korea. You will go to prison for selling naked shorts. So I've read in CNBC that that this is something that Trump is seriously considering because it is nothing more than market manipulation. And quite frankly, I think it would be good for retail like us if this law was enacted. Retail has never really had a fair chance, in my opinion. We feel like we have more of a fair chance now, but we still don't have a true fair chance. And if this law is enacted, it will give us a much better shot at having a level playing field with the big institutions. The problem with this is that the big institutions have big money and big lobbyists. And I live in Washington, D.C., so I can say this with 100% confidence. D.C. is a pay to play area. You can get pretty much whatever you want if you pay off the right people. And there are different ways of paying off the right people. I'll use the SEC as an example. Quite often, these people that work for the SEC that are supposed to protect us, the retail investors, they're not doing their jobs because it's a scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And so what happens is these guys know that they're exiting the SEC in 6 months to a year. So they go light on, we'll use Citadel as an example. They'll go light on Citadel for a naked short where they naked short 300 million and they'll give Citadel a fine of 100 million, right? Well, Citadel's still making 299 million. So what's to stop them from doing anything? And then when these SEC officers leave the SEC, they go and get a job with Citadel, or Citadel gets them a job somewhere else. So it's a pay to play. It's a scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And so this is just one way of market manipulation after the fact. And that's after they've been caught.
Definitely. And as far as it goes with that stuff, I mean, it also just depends on who the major players are, who the market makers are, what their plans for the asset is, right? Same thing with the stock market. So, as we saw with Wolf Speed.
Yeah. Wolf Speed was fun, man. You and I, we had a lot of fun doing that. Fighting the shorts, making out. It was good, man. That was good. You made more money than I did on that one because of my trading plan versus your trading plan.
Yeah, definitely. That's also, I mean, we both fell similar percentages, I believe, in this most recent run because stop loss wasn't an option with how the stock was moving. So, I mean, that is thankfully we both moved out of options and into shares at the same time. But I believe you moved into actual shares, and I moved into 2x invert. I mean, not inverse, 2x leverage shares. I should have also moved into some inverted options to hedge, but I just was too confident for that.
You are a confident trader. It's one thing I admire about you. Uh, In this business, you have to have confidence, you have to have conviction, or otherwise you're and I don't mean to put anyone down or scare anyone, but if you don't have confidence and you don't have conviction, you're not going to make it.
I
Just
mean,
it's just pretty simple.
there are
You got
some
you
there are some good ways you can set up recurring investments and make money off of dividends through ETFs that go up yearly. I mean, there's still options for you in the stock market to where you can make money over time, even if you're not that well versed in it as well, though. Just to aggregate just over time, the stock market going up and the economy doing better. So,
there
so
and,
there are
guys,
options for that.
there's also nothing wrong if you just want to park your money in the S&P 500 for a little bit if you're feeling like you want to take a break from day trading or swing trading and you still want your money to work. You can put it in the S&P 500, which is pretty safe. I mean, they've had incredible returns this year. You can park your money, as Day Zero was saying, in some ETFs where you let someone else manage the money for you, and you pay them a small percentage, generally under 1% or so. Um, or you can park your money also in SGov, which will just pay you an interest rate on your cash. So there are definitely different ways to make money.
Definitely. And getting into the GameStop stuff, kind of switching topics here. What's your thoughts about GameStop adopting Bitcoin, NFTs? What's your thoughts on GameStop stock? Is Roaring Kitty back with vengeance? I'd like to hear
All
what
right.
you have to say about GameStop specifically.
Okay, so I'm bullish on GameStop. I'm very bullish on GameStop. For a number of reasons, and I'd like to first start off by saying no, I am not one of the guys in the Super Stonk Reddit or the Super Stonk subreddit. I don't have tinfoil wrapped around my head. Um, I'm a make it make sense guy, and so if I see stuff, it has to make sense to me in order for me to believe in it. I can't just go off hype. Um, and so what I do know is one of the reasons why Trump is going to uh, hopefully outlaw naked shorting is because Ken Griffin, who is in charge of Citadel Capital, he was one of the bigger players of shorting GameStop back in 2020 or 2021, something like that. Um, and he was shorting DJT as well and talking a lot of smack about Trump. And those are two things that you don't do. You don't talk about Trump and you don't mess with his money. So that's a good thing for us. And it's a good thing for GameStop as well. GameStop has about $5 billion in cash on hand, and they have for quite some time that they've supposedly not been doing anything with. However, I know that they've been selling trading card packs where you can go through and scratch off cards, and you can win a tenth of a Bitcoin, a quarter of a Bitcoin, half a Bitcoin, all the way up to 1 Bitcoin. And I've seen these pictures on Reddit. I've seen them in news articles. This is real. This is not some sort of photoshopped thing. So I believe due to them handing out Bitcoin cards, that tells me that they probably already have some Bitcoin. And they haven't really done much capital expenditures that we know of, or at least that I know of. Um, so it seems to me as if they may be building some sort of a war chest. I do believe that they're going to be going into NFTs. I don't know when, but I believe that is it. Ryan Cohen, the CEO, he and Larry Chang, is a venture capitalist that's involved in GameStop. They like to give out just enough information to keep you interested and to keep you guessing as well. Um, but it's my belief that GameStop is on an unstoppable path right now. I see their stock going up significantly in the near future. And by near future, I mean within the next few months, not tomorrow, not next week. Probably won't happen before the first of the year. But I'm very interested to see what happens in their earnings call, which is a week from Wednesday. I think we'll learn a lot more about that. I do believe Roaring Kitty's back. I believe that he may have enough of a position now to be a member of the board. I'm not positive about that, but I do know that he has an extremely large position in GameStop, to the point where he's either at the level to be a board member, or he could be at that level very soon. I don't know that he wants to be, but I believe this is the case. And I think it'd be beneficial to GameStop if he were on the board. He obviously cares about the company. He knows a lot about the company. And he cares about the people. You know, he cares about the little guy. He wouldn't have been doing what he was doing, and he wouldn't have his name if he didn't. So I'm pretty bullish on it. I do believe that, you know, there's a really decent chance they'll start accepting Bitcoin as payment pretty soon. It would just make sense to me, because Ryan Cohen, the CEO, he's an innovator. He likes to sort of change things up, and do the newest thing. And he doesn't really like to tip his hand either. So I think that we have some surprises coming next Wednesday, which, let me look at my calendar, exactly what date that is. Yeah, GameStop earnings is December 4th. And I believe it's AMC, which is after market close. So that should be an interesting one. That should be a very interesting one. But yeah, I am very bullish on GameStop. Today I bought a $32 call for 117 expiration. And if that doesn't play out, I'll just roll it. I'll roll it to April, because I believe by then GameStop's share price will be much higher than the whatever $30 it is. Let me see where it closed. I'm pulling that up right now. It closed at $30.33 today. Today it went up 2.22%. And the interesting thing about that is that the share price had been stagnant for quite some time. Not really making many moves at all. Going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down. Well, it seems that lately it's just been going up. And so that's just very interesting. When I look at the past month for GameStop has gone up 43.49% over the past month. That's a pretty impressive move for GameStop. If you look at their past 3 months, it's only 46.24%. So that really tells you that in the past month, there have been a lot of things happening over at GameStop. And we're not really sure what's happening. I'm just seeing right now, an hour ago, MarketWatch put out an article that says GameStop continues its climb amid squeeze chatter. So it looks like the short squeeze could be coming to an end, or as they like to call it in the subreddit, MOAS, the mother of all short squeezes. So if this truly is a MOAS, we could see the share go from 30 to 100. I do know that there are calls, I believe it's for the April calls. There's a lot of call volume on the $125 strike, which is pretty crazy for a stock that's trading at $30 now. And when I saw that $125 strike volume, That's when the stock was trading at 25. So I don't think that it's just a bunch of people that are just hoping to make some sort of a crazy bet on the share increasing $100. I believe that's probably, and I haven't looked into this, but I believe that's probably some whales buying up $5,000 or 5,000 call blocks.
On my
You
laptop,
know,
it
because I
shows GameStop, just not to cut you off. April strike, GameStop is the highest strike price is $55, but it's trading pretty high at $5 per ask. So, I mean, that's on my laptop, so I'm not completely sure, but just thought I'd throw that in there.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. I saw that on something, some sort of unusual whales somewhere. I think I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that I saw it at 125 somewhere. But again, I could be mistaken. I don't have the data in front of me. I'm just trying to go off memory here.
It might have been 125 days out, or it's 142 days out, so I'm not too sure. But to be fair, a $55 strike price at $5 is pretty wild for a stock trading at $30. So there is that.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
a no, sorry, I'm trying to look for it. Yeah, I don't see one currently, but there is high anticipation for a short squeeze as well as a very large increase in stock price in a very short amount of time with volatility over 100 vol, which is pretty insane. Um, but yeah, GameStop, all that is definitely a watch right now. Do you know anything about the current electric market coming into play for the VTOL space?
I don't. I
Okay.
believe you do.
Okay, I'll skip that topic for now. I'll bring that up in a future stream. Let's get into the quantum stuff. I know you're a quantum guy on the
All right.
stocks. Yeah.
What I've got so I've got a big interest in IONQ. IONQ is a quantum computing company based out of College Park, Maryland. Um, I live in this area. I know people that are close to this company, but not close enough where it can be considered insider trading. So that makes me feel comfortable talking about this. IONQ is a front runner in the quantum computing space, which quantum computing is in its infancy. This is not I mean, you can swing trade this stock, definitely. You can even day trade it if you want, as long as you know you chart it out. But for me, this is a long hold. I believe that this is like getting in on the floor of the next Mag 7 company. Um, there's a possibility that it could be bought out at some point. There's a possibility that a startup that hasn't even started up yet could come in and just make waves and push everybody else out. But for the quantum computing companies that we have currently going, the top two runners are IBM and this IONQ. I've been in IONQ since 10/28, and I've only been averaging up. I bought 10 more shares today, and I have a total of 40 shares. I'm not worried about accumulating shares at a rapid pace right now. I'll buy them on the dips when I can, um, because this is a long term hold. This is a 5 to 10 year hold for me, but I believe it's a 10 to 30x company. If I go out 10 years, I believe that I can 30x my money. At minimum, I can 10x my money. And before I started averaging up, um, which was about a week ago is when I started averaging up. Before then, I was over 50% profit on shares. I bought in at 17 on 10/28. And let's see here. Today
And I
it
joined you on that
closed.
one. I did join you on that, but with a
You
small
did?
amount of money. Small amount of money, a couple $100, but I joined you. I jumped right into that one.
A couple hundred can make you a couple thousand, or
Yeah.
maybe a lot more.
Yeah.
So IONQ over the past month is up 76.91%. That's an incredible return. Today it closed at $30.65. So there is still plenty of room to run on this stock. It is available for anyone to get in. I encourage you to do your own research on this. I know Don Squeezy did a really nice due diligence write up, so y'all might want to go visit his page and scroll down. He did a really, really nice write up. And then McLaren, do it in the search bar. It's like McLaren 367 or something. He knows a lot about IONQ as well. So those two guys are good resources. I'm a good resource. If y'all have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know Don Squeeze would love to answer some questions as well. And I know McLaren loves to talk about IONQ. So all three of us are very happy to answer any questions about IONQ. Another quantum computing company that I've recently gotten into is RGTI, and that one I got from Atypically Erect. That guy, he loves to find undervalued stocks that he feels are just going to boom. And I bought into that with 100 shares because it was cheap. It was under $3. And the next day it shot up and, it was good money. I'm holding it. I'm not going to let it go because RGTI works with Amazon. So that's good. Getting back to IO&Q, if you're wondering who their investors are, Bill Gates, Michael Dell, BlackRock. So they've got some really big names behind them. They have a number of patents that have already been approved, and they have well over 100 patents pending as well. As far as I know, that one of the biggest challenges in quantum computing right now is the vibrations in the computer. How do you control those? And IONQ is one of the companies that has actually figured out how to control the vibrations. Beyond that, the next biggest issue for quantum computing is going to be keeping the machines cool. But I'm not really concerned about that. I'm sure if y'all have seen a lot of the chatter lately about a company called Cooler, KULR. Day Zero is the one that brought that. I mean, I was in that stock a while ago when it was at 33 cents. I got out because it was moving too slow. But Day Zero brought up to my attention that it just won a Navy contract yesterday, and their shares shot up by 77% yesterday. And Cooler, they specialize in keeping things cool. So, for example, AI data centers, they're probably going to be pretty big in the AI data center space, I think, or a company like them, where you have machines
If
that
not
get
them, it'll be a company like them. That's exactly the point. I can see them going to dollar short term at least with their government contracts.
yeah, yeah.
It's not financial advice. It's just my personal thoughts.
None of this is financial advice. This is all just chatter.
Yeah, definitely. Thought I'd bring that up.
I
Palantir
don't need
did
to be
pretty good
talking to
today.
anybody's lawyer.
Palantir did good this week, this month, the last 3 months, the last year, the last year and a half, the last 5 years. Palantir's on the rip. Man,
I hate talking about Palantir. I had Palantir at $8 and had to sell it, man. Oh,
I'll drop that. But they're in basically Palantir is getting into all the prisons, getting into everything that's about to be going on with this with the migrant thing that's going to go on.
deportations.
I'm not going to get too political into the deportation stuff, especially since that's what I'm looking at for my next career. So, but Palantir is behind all of the technology there. So that's very important for their stock price going forward is not just government contract. I mean, it is government contracts, but they're also going into the civilian sector, getting into these civilian contracts, these civic jobs, these civic companies, and yeah, it's pretty insane. So thought I'd bring up Palantir briefly just to be able to go into at least mention its increase in the last week. compared to Nvidia because Nvidia's tracking behind a little bit.
Yeah, Nvidia is a weird one to me. Um, we were talking on the phone day zero, and you were telling me how you were playing their earnings report, and I told you that for me, I'm not comfortable with playing earnings on Nvidia because Nvidia can beat expectations and their stock price can still drop. And the reason for that is there's such a high expectation of Nvidia now that they really have to knock it out of the park in order to uh, have their share price rise, even when they beat, which is it's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I see them coming back soon this year. Um, but right now, what was it, 141 earlier or something like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Where did they close? Yeah, they closed. They actually closed at 136.92 today. They
Yeah,
opened at
Nvidia is a little bit
137.79.
down. This entire week it's down like 6%, I believe, which is large with how large of a world's largest market cap. So
Yeah, yeah, you're right. They're down 5.92% for the week. Today was a good day for them, and they raised 0.66%.
okay, that's good. Someone just mentioned Flex. It's a manufacturing services company.
Hmm.
Not
Let's
sure
see here.
what they mentioned it for. Believe it was for cooling. I'm not too data infrastructure. So I'm guessing they're saying it's like Palantir. My bad. They're comparing Flex to
Okay.
Palantir. It's up 88% this year to date. Okay, that's
All right,
actually a
let's
pretty
hear.
good company to look at. Thank you for that.
Past six, past 6 months, you've got 18.67% plus. 3 months, 23.9% plus. 1 month, 12.23. 1 week, 0.98. And today, minus 0.280. But in after hours, they're plus 1.4.
Yeah, so
So, and
that
trading in after hours at $40.48 a share. This might be a good company to look into. Whoever brought that up, thank you.
I will bring up their name real quick so that it's on here. That was Cody Burns. Appreciate that, Cody.
Cody, good job. Thank you, brother. Keep up the good work.
Eve Online Ascendancy brought up Little Behind Live. The scratch off cards are a separate company than GameStop. They just sell the cardsmiths gay cards at their store. That's good to
Oh,
know. That's good to
that is
know for
very good
that
to know. Thank
information.
you.
The cards can be looked at like Pokemon cards, which also getting into that, GameStop is also doing the performing that same service for minting uh,
Right.
Pokemon
So
cards.
GameStop has an agreement, and I should have brought this up earlier. Thank you for reminding me. GameStop has an agreement with PSA. PSA is the number one authenticator of sports memorabilia, movie memorabilia, football cards, basketball cards, and trading cards of all kind. Your Magic the Gathering cards, your Pokemon cards. And so GameStop has an agreement with PSA where they can grade trading cards. I believe they do them on site. I'm not going to say that with 100% certainty, but I believe they do that on site. I do know that they sell PSA graded cards on site and online. However, I have also heard as of maybe an hour ago or 2 hours ago, uh, just don't order them online, guys, because sometimes there's a mix up in the packaging, and whatever you get is whatever you're going to get. They're not going to do any refunds on that. So if you want those cards, go into a brick and mortar GameStop store to pick them up.
Definitely. Getting into the comment section again, J Peters 331 said another reason to look at Quantum in Ion Q's 64 qubit computer has a computing power of 2.5 billion NVIDIA chips. It's single computer. When scaled, IonQ will put NVIDIA out of business, is what he claims. I'm not completely sure how truthful that is, but that's definitely something to look into for us going into this. That could definitely be a paradigm shift there.
I would love for you to write up a DD with that. Use the topic DD and post that. I'd love to see the data behind that, because that 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 is really really something. That is really something, and I can believe that. I can believe that. That's not outlandish to me. I would just love to see the data on that. Like I
So
say, guys, I see IONQ as a powerhouse. I know that they're a front runner. I see them as a powerhouse in this space.
yeah, me too. That's definitely why I followed you straight into the stock, as I believe in it 100%. Now, just real quick, someone did ask what we think about NextGel as well. That's the company that does the polymer hydrogels for the wound care and stuff. I don't know if you were.
That's right. Yes. So they're not doing a whole lot right now. That's not to say, I mean, they've had, six past 6 months, they've gone up 53.81%. That's great if you got in early. 3 months, 19%,
What's
one
their
month,
market
ten and a
cap?
half percent.
Their
But
market cap's only 30.19 million, so 30,190,000 dollars. So realistically, you're super early if you believe it's going to go up uh, to $1 billion company. But you have to think of a market that it would work in and look at their upcoming line of products, how far in that product production they are. I would research all of that before you hop into the stock because just off of existing products, you're going to see it slow increase in price, and there might be better opportunities somewhere else. Um, or if you see a government contract coming up, anything that would boom that stock.
and if
Uh,
you have questions about that, I know the user after hours user prison Mike for Prez. He's the one that brought that to my attention. So he would be the guy that would have some DD on that.
And then next for you, I do have one stock I'd like to bring up is AST Space Mobile. Are you familiar with that without me jumping into everything on it?
I'm not too familiar with ASTS. What I do know is their stock has been going great. Unfortunately, not today. I bought calls on that today, and those calls are down. Um, but we'll see what happens. Um, guys, when you're buying calls, make sure that you weren't looking at puts before that, because I accidentally bought a couple puts on that too. It works out to be a nice hedge for me since the calls are going down, the puts are going up. So it's a nice mistake that I made, but it was a dumb mistake on my part. So just make sure that you're looking at what you want to buy. I feel so foolish for it. It was a good mistake at the end of the day, but it was something that was foolish.
And it's in direct competition with Starlink, just so you guys are aware with that.
And with Elon Musk coming into the government, that's something that you may want to be very aware of since Musk owns Starlink.
I mean, obviously, like people see the word space, they put it with space, but obviously, it's basically trying to get rid of dead zones in the global infrastructure for the cellular network, so that you don't have to have a tower in specific parts of the world. Like during, obviously, you saw Starlink during the Ukraine war. Elon Musk was giving internet service to Ukraine when there was issues. I don't know if that was 100% a thing or if he had offered that, but he was definitely offering to reposition his satellites so that Ukraine could have cell phone coverage. So That would be the same thing with AST Space Mobile, but they'd be trying to fill in gaps in cellular networks and then selling those services to those cellular companies uh, to make a lot of money. Okay, we have 30 few, my bad, 34 live viewers. Did IonQ and NVIDIA have a partnership agreement though? I'm not completely sure, Jake.
Mm,
That's something to look into, but
that's,
long
that's a
term,
good one.
NVIDIA might not have as much growth percentage wise as IonQ. If they do have a partnership, IonQ would definitely have more of a growth there.
Let's see here. I'm just Googling real quick. I'm
While
not
you're Googling
seeing.
that, I'm going to bring up Flingy's comment. He sees NextGel as the future leader in scar treatments, like getting rid of stretch marks and scars. And people with aesthetic surgeries, like if you get a boob job and you have that scar there, he's claiming that NextGel would be able to get rid of that scar, which would be huge. That would be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point, Flingy. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is something that is important, for
Looking at
so
for a
many different
cosmetic,
reasons.
looking at it from a cosmetic perspective and towards females, specifically marketing it towards those females, like as an aesthetic treatment, that would be really great marketing for that product without government contracts. Like that would be just consumers. So that's definitely true.
It would it would also be good for impoverished countries as well that don't have great medical care. Um, you'll see folks that have massive scars that if they were from a country that had better medical care, that they may not have these scars. And so if this next gel can be made cheap enough and produced widely enough to go to these impoverished nations, that would be helpful for everyone around the globe. Um, I like to do sometimes. I mean, obviously, we have to invest our money where we think we're going to make money, right? That's the name of the game. But I like to do what I call moral investing as well, where I invest in companies that I believe in the product, that their product is going to do good for the world. We can't do that 100% of the time, but if I can do that, it's one of my more favorite ways to invest. And I think that this would be, in my opinion, moral investing.
Definitely. And obviously gold's been going up long term. With the stronger US dollar, you could see a reduction in the return in gold as well. That's just something I wanted to bring up because there it was a slight dip, but I don't see it crashing. I don't see gold crashing, but I could definitely see a slope in gold growth as the US dollar strengthens. Uh, I'm trying to stick away
Well,
from politics as much as I can with the topic, so I'll let you bring up the topic.
all right. Well, I mean, let's see here. Let's sort of open it up a little bit if we have some time. Are there any questions that, sort of like let's do like a little bit of an AMA? Ask me anything for either myself or for day zero. I'll just give you a little bit of background on me first. I started trading about 3 months ago with zero knowledge, or I should say, extremely basic knowledge. I barely knew what a call was. I certainly should not have been trading options, and I wasn't trading options because I was not experienced enough. I wasn't an experienced trader. But I started with $10,000 portfolio, and I brought that all the way up to 30,000 as of Thursday. I lost some of my profits since then. And I'm pulling up my brokerage account right now. Give me a second here. Um, Year to date, I am up 100. Well, yeah, year to date. So 3 months to date, I am up 124.31%. Um, Those are numbers that Wall Street would love to have. Day Zero's numbers are better than mine. And this is something that we can all do. Um,
But I do
we
love
can all
after
do this.
hour. I love after hour for that exact fact. Like, someone could go 0 days trading experience, hop on after hour, see the positions that all these millionaires are in. Like this company Lemonade, for example. I don't know what the heck Lemonade is. It's some kind of insurance company, but there's some millionaires that invested in it a few weeks ago. And like if I go onto here and they posted about it because not only is it a place where you can meet people, network, and learn stuff about stocks, it's a place for rich people to brag. And Lemonade is up 166% in the past month. And these millionaires like to I mean, it's a place for them. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a really good thing because then we get the knowledge. These millionaires get to brag to each other, like, look how much money I made, 200% in a month. Like, holy cow. That's like if you put your life savings of $30,000 in there and then you got 166% return, you'd be over, man, you'd be on your way to $100,000 right now,
That's
realistically.
right.
And if you would have had call options on that, if you would have put $30,000 on straight calls because you believed in the company going up, you'd be sitting up at about the same percentage that some of these millionaires are at. If you would have put it all on out of the money call options, you would have been sitting on a couple $1 million.
And here's one thing that I want to bring up. My buddy Royalty Trades brings this up, and it's something for us all to really, really think about. There are 252 trading days in the year, and if you can profit $100 a day, you've made $25,200 that year
Which
before
I've already
taxes, of
made,
course.
which I already made more than that. Right now, no, but like at my all-time high, that's unrealized of $30,000. I was definitely there. Like I made over $100 a day for the year, but I did that in 2 months. So that was nice. Now, of course, it's sitting at less than that, but it's achievable. That's the thing. If you get good at it, it's achievable.
That's right. And like Day Zero was saying, that's the beauty of After Hour is there's so much knowledge. This is crowdsourced knowledge, y'all. We are in a very, very special place here. We have so many different people with so many different specialties, with so much different knowledge, so many different perspectives. It's great. I recommend to any new user just start, reading through different people's posts. Find out who jives with your style, and then follow them. And you guys can bounce ideas around, and you can ask each other questions, and you can do this with what I call the OGs, the guys that have been here for a long time. The OGs are very happy to answer questions, and there's no such thing as a dumb question on After Hour. As long as you're genuine and you're sincere, these guys are very happy to help because all they want to do is they just want you to succeed. After Hour is literally the inverse of Reddit Wall Street Bets. Reddit Wall Street Bets loves to see people lose. They actually post what they call loss porn, and they cheer each other on their losses. We don't do that. Not at After Hours. At After Hour, what we do is we cheer people on for their gains and we console their losses. We try to help uh, people in their time of need and when they're down, and we like to celebrate them when they win. It's a great, wholesome community, and I really, really hope that everyone takes full advantage of After Hour as I have and as Day Zero has, because there's so much to offer.
And going into that, right? So there is this whole perspective of us normal people would never, ever get access to people like that with that sort of such early knowledge on this alpha. And alpha is basically investments that are going to go up before any of the news, before any of the rumors. These are people that are in when it's at its absolute bottom and are going to cash out when it's at its absolute top, and they time it correctly. Uh, as I showed you with Lemonade a second ago, when I pulled it up on the screen, the guy that posted that posted alpha. And you have multiple people that were posting MicroStrategy way before it took off. And I didn't jump into it till it started to take off. Same thing with Core Scientific, which is the ticker I mean, not K, CORZ, Cores. They were posting that stuff way before it started taking off. But then I look back and I'm like, oh, shoot, it's starting to go up. And I jump into it. A lot of these millionaires have that trading alpha and that knowledge way ahead of time, and they're investing in these companies months before they know it's going to go up 100%, 200%. So that is something to keep in mind with After Hour. Is something might not make sense to you, but the fundamentals are there, and if you ask for the research on there, like I said, these millionaires love to brag and not to detriment them in any way because they are very, very, very helpful. It's a good thing that they want to be out there supporting us with their knowledge.
Agreed. I could not agree with you more on that.
And I turned $2,800 into about 10,000. And then with that trading alpha, I turned that $10,000 into $30,000. Got scared, changed it to shares instead of putting it back on black and rolling options. I could have probably made over 100 grand if I
That's
kept the
insane. And
same risk
you've
strategy.
been here for 2.5 months.
Correct. And after hour for 2.5 months. And obviously
And that
X52X has turned a couple grand to a million like 4 times over. Like you have these people with really good plays and you only have to get right once. They have to get right every single time and eventually they fumble and in X52's case goes to zero or near zero, right? So that's your thing is when you get those wins, capitalize that win. Don't just keep risking it, because you could go to zero. Same day you're at $1 million, you could go to $0. So
that's right. Make sure you know if you have trades, uh make sure you trim some profit, guys. Make sure you trim some profit. Oh, let's see here. All
jump
right.
into this comment
Cool.
section here. We've got about 32 people still alive. Appreciate that, guys. Jaxie had brought up that I had been searching AMC on my laptop. You guys could see the screen earlier. I was looking to see if they had cash on hand for Bitcoin because there was an article, but it was pretty much a throwaway article. AMC doesn't have enough cash on hand and it has too much debt to buy into Bitcoin, which is the opposite for GameStop. So that's why we mentioned GameStop. New fish is spot on. I completely agree, Anthony. We can bring up RXRX. Who are some of the people with good plays? Anyone with $1 million on that app has probably got at least one good play if you check their portfolio. Uh,
That's right.
a lot of the
And that's
people
the nice thing about after hours.
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
You're good. Go ahead.
I was just say the nice thing about after hour is so I look when people are recommending things, one thing I do is the first thing I do is I look to see if they have a connected portfolio. And if they don't have a connected portfolio at this point, I take it with a grain of salt because I use Fidelity, and Fidelity and Webull were the last two brokerages to be connected pretty much. Unless you're overseas, there are a couple of overseas brokerages that are not connected. But my brokerage was one of the last. So most people should have their brokerages connected. And if they don't, and they're giving you advice, you need to take that with a grain of salt and be careful. Conversely, when you have people that are giving you advice and they do have a connected portfolio, or you have these people like Day Zero saying that have 1 million or a couple million, just go scroll through their portfolio. It's all connected. It's there for you to see and see see where their conviction is. Check out the spot price. See if they got in early. And then look for another one where they're just starting out. Maybe that's the one that you want to jump on.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. And with RXRX, what's your views on RXRX? Someone did bring it up. Are you on that bandwagon or are you
So,
kind of staying away from it?
um, I've got nothing against RXRX. I know that it's heavily invested by big people. BlackRock is in it, ARK is in it, Nvidia's got 50 million in it. I was in it twice. It just wasn't moving fast enough for me personally. I'm a swing trader. I'm not an investor, meaning I like to make trades pretty quick or pretty often. I like to have my money work for me relatively quickly, and that's where it goes back to me taking 20 to 30% on options. I want to get in, I want to get out with with my realized gains, and then put that to work somewhere else. So while I do believe in RXRX and I think it's a good company, I just don't know that it's right for me right now. But it is right for a lot of people. A lot of the big players on After Hour are in it and have big money in it. I think we have a collective of $3.5 million invested in it on After Hour, if memory serves. Um, and that's pretty impressive for an emerging company.
Definitely. I have positive views on RXRX long term, short term, even within the next year of short term, I do not see it going up, other than little ups and downs. Let's look at these comments real quick. I hope X52X gets back on the grind. I hope so too. Uh, you'd stay away from biotech. Could take years to take off. Oscar, that's exactly our sentiment as well. It sounds like between me and Fish. Is Soundhound a good buy? I did some DD on that. Not DD, but I posted it in my small cap stocks. It just depends on the company's fundamentals. You'd have to look into that and see if they have any contracts coming up, what their next product is, how they're, I believe they're AI focused. Somehow AI, yeah, that seems about right. Uh, so I would look into that. Would RGTI be a good one to get 100 plus of and sell covered calls for premium on, or is it too small? Good question.
So
Only
I'm in,
during a bull rally.
I'm in RGTI. I've got 100 shares on it. Um, I can bring up the options chain right now. I don't know that it's going to be profitable to sell
Not really,
covered
no.
calls on it.
It's not. There's not enough
Uh,
options, volume or let's see.
you're looking at it now. Okay.
There is actually volume and interest, but there's just not a large enough amount of money for it to make. Well, yeah, 35 cents per $2. That would be about
Yeah. But you see, I wouldn't even sell. I wouldn't even. So right now, the stock closed today at $2.20, and if you want to go slightly OTM, you could. The next chain is at the next strike. Excuse me, is at $2.50. Well, that's probably going to hit tomorrow, right?
right.
Or within the next day or two. So at the $2.50 strike, there are 14,000. Oh no, sorry, that's the volume. The open interest on that one is 5,981 contracts. The implied volatility is 177%.
That's probably a good one to swing trade, not to sell out covered calls on.
Exactly. Exactly. That's one you want to be in. You want to be accumulate. If you want to be in it, you want to be in it to accumulate, or possibly, uh, or possibly, buy a slightly OTM uh,
Right.
call option. The $2 call option closed at 55 cents, so you'd be paying $5.50 for that contract.
Okay, this one's actually promising.
Or no, excuse me, you'd be paying $55 for that contract.
I just found a stock I'm definitely going to write down. It's called T-Stamp. It was up 102% today. It's a penny stock and it's up another 59% during after hours. It's an identity
What's it called?
verification.
E-stamp?
T-Stamp. I don't know what the ticker is. Doesn't show it to my knowledge. Oh, it's IDAI. T-Stamp engages in the provision of identity verification services to facilitate internet-mediated economic and social transactions. It guards against identity theft and friendly fraud by providing a secure digital token verifying the user's photograph, identity, and trustworthiness.
And what's it trading at?
It's trading at 58 cents, so it's obviously a penny stock, but it's
That sounds like I'm
volatility
buying 100
is
shares tomorrow.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just found that out. And if it goes to zero, I don't care because it's 100 shares. But the
Exactly.
that's just wild that it continued into after hours trading like that and kept on the volatility. I'm definitely gonna look into that tomorrow. But sorry, I was just
Yeah,
going
that
through that.
that's one that I'm gonna buy at the bell because it sounds like that could shoot up real quick.
So Remedy just said I was going to connect my brokerage, and I've seen a post about if someone got into your account and cleaned you out, it finds you, put you login details. It's another platform if the bank finds out. Remedy, that doesn't work on, I mean, After Hours doesn't have the ability to get into your account. You can check uh, what you're granting them permission and to access through the app settings. It's just a read-only view. It does not, like, they would never have the ability to touch your financials when you're connecting to After Hour with your brokerage. And it's all
So
available as you're downloading it. It'll have that in the permissions, and that's also when you go to connect your brokerage, it's also in the permissions there. It is a read view only. Okay, just to be
it,
clear on that.
it's connected through a system called Plaid, Plaid, which is a pretty safe connection. As I said, I use Fidelity. Fidelity was one of the last to accept it, and that's because Fidelity is pretty big on security. There's, as Day Zero said, there's no way that After Hours has your account number. Um, they can't access your account. As far as hacking is concerned, even if they hacked into After Hours, I do not believe they'd be able to access your account at all. They'd actually have to hack your brokerage. And as long as we're talking about brokerages, um, I on Fidelity, they do a phone number match and a voice match as well. So I've got that two-factor authentication set up. I was talking to my dad the other day, and he brought up a really valid point with, with all the new technology, people can spoof phone numbers. I mean, I've been called by Bank of America that was definitely not Bank of America, but it showed up as Bank of America and as the Bank of America number. Um, so people can definitely spoof phone numbers these days, as we all know, and they can definitely with AI, as long as you've gotten like one or two scam calls, they can take your voice and change it to different words. So one thing that you might want to do as an extra layer of security is to have a separate password set up. So each time you call into your brokerage, you have to give them the secret password. And as long as you don't tell that password to anybody and it's not something that you use all the time, nobody's going to be able to call and access your account.
So as we've been on here, Bitcoin's actually went up to $92,811. It's not that big of a jump. Still less than $1,000, but it was about 92,200 when we started the stream, so I thought I would bring that up. That was pretty interesting there. Is there anything else you want to bring up about your trading strategy or about what makes you unique on the app? Because as I've stated before, the reason we do these live streams is to get different perspectives on the same topics as well as new perspectives on new topics. Um, just to, kind of freshen it up. So is there anything that you wanted to bring up that contradicts what the last person came on, uh, or that you think is unique to you that you'd like someone to walk away with?
So I'm just gonna speak for myself here. One of the things that I think makes me unique is, when I joined this community, I was taught so much and I was given so much knowledge. And I asked the OGs, I said, "How can I repay you?" And they told me, "When it's your time, pay it forward. That's all we ask. You pay the knowledge forward." And so that's what I would ask everyone else to do as well. As you learn, you will absorb the knowledge. I know it's a lot, but you will absorb it. And when it comes your time, give it away for free. There may come a time where you have a specialty that you want to, start a Discord or a Patreon or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Set up a buy me a coffee link on your profile. There's nothing wrong with that. But until you're at that level, just try to help other folks, gain the knowledge that they can. I try to interact with as many people as I can. I try to answer most, if not every comment on any of my posts. I try to give as much advice as I can. Please understand that any advice I give is not financial advice. That's my little disclaimer. It's also in my profile just to keep the lawyers away. But yeah, I try to be friendly with everyone. I try to be polite with everyone. We're all here to make money, and it can be a little scary sometimes. Sometimes when we may feel like we don't know what we're doing, we may feel like we're not making the right decisions. So there's nothing wrong with coming out and asking questions, guys. Ask all the questions, until you're comfortable, until you feel like you could answer the question yourself if someone asked you. If you can't answer a question simply, then you probably don't know enough about it. So keep asking the question. If you got to ask the same question 4 or 5 times, there's nothing wrong with that. Just try to expand your network as far as you can. That's just that's just really what I can say is expand your network, get in touch with as many people as you possibly can, both new people, people that have been there for a little while, and people that have been there for a long while as well. And no matter what your knowledge level is, always listen to the other people, because while you may know more than they do, or you may know less than they do, they may bring a different perspective than you have, which can be really beneficial to your trading. Or you may bring a different perspective to their trading, which can be really beneficial to them. I know I've found that to be the case both ways, where I've brought different perspectives to people that have a lot more money and a lot more experience than I do. And I've had people that are new bring me a different perspective than I thought of. And so I think there's a lot of value in that. And we all wanted to try to get the most out of this community. I call it a community because to me, it's more than an app. I spend a lot of time on the app. I spend way too much time on the app, to be honest.
I spend
But that's
about
because
I spend about 40 hours a week on the app. This is Day Zero speaking, for those that might have tuned in a little bit late. I spend about 40 hours on the app a week, which is the same as my full-time job, just to put it into perspective.
Yeah. So I do about the same, if not if not more. Uh, I spend way too much time on this app. But to me, it's super beneficial. Um, it started out as a knowledge tool, and now I'm building friendships here, which is really cool. And then one more thing I want to say is if you're on this and you live in the DMV, as we call it, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, I am going to be setting up a meetup, and I'll be making a post about that. So I've already spoken with the venue. Sir Jack has told me that he's happy to sponsor it as well. So the only thing that Sir Jack asks is that we all take a picture together and send it to him. I'm sure he'll use it as promo material or some sort of material to try to go and get venture capital money, which I think is great. You know, he needs more money to improve the app because everything in this world costs money. But yeah, so if you're in the DMV, keep it in mind. I'm going to be making a post about that. I'll do a poll as to give a few options of days that work best for people as well. But you know, you might want to, if you're not in this area and you've made some connections, you might want to see if you can set up a meetup in your area. Because while we are online, if we've made connections, it might be nice to, you know, we realize gains, it might be nice to realize friendships as well. You know,
Well, this is day
just
zero. Depending on the date of that, I'll fly out to attend it. As obviously you're my friend, I'd like
oh
to go visit you in person. So depending on that date, I will fly out to that in DC. There's a direct flight from my home state, my home city, that goes direct to DC in the morning. So I'd be able to either make a day trip or, stay one night and fly out the next day, the next evening. So I would be okay with
yeah,
that. That's kind of on the spot. I just brought that up. But to then
yeah,
go
no,
into
dude.
the
I mean,
to go into the next
more the
point real
merrier.
quickly. The next point real quickly is for a meetup like that, I'd be okay with either setting one up for Dallas, Texas, or Dallas Fort Worth metro area, or attending one if someone else sets one up. So, as far as major after hours events, I also plan on flying out for those, especially the one in Vegas for New Year's. If they do announce a date kind of early, I'm willing to put my money on to attending those events because I do see it as a more of a communal bond than just an app. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And then, guys, if you're into Bitcoin or altcoins or whatever, just a reminder that Bitcoin 2025 is in Las Vegas in May. Tickets are already on sale. And we do have a group that's going. So if you want to meet up with some of the guys that you chat with, some of the girls that you chat with, whatever, um, you know, some of us will be out there, and it'll probably be a good time. I'd imagine it'll certainly be interesting. I'm certain of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So
So I guess we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up here. I do appreciate everyone for joining up on the stream. Obviously, it ran a lot longer than we expected it to because we got caught up in conversation, and it was pretty meaningful conversation. So that's great. Do you have any closing thoughts here, Fish?
just, I mean, hey guys, you know what? Like I said, or like I always say online, I'll tell you right now, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I'm typically available. If I can't get right back to you, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm pretty good about answering questions. And if I don't have the answer for you, I'm not just going to try to guesstimate it. If I don't have the answer for you, I'm going to loop in the right person because, like I said, I've built a pretty wide network here. So I know who specializes in what areas, and we can pretty much get every question answered.
And just on day zero side of things, to wrap up the next stream, I might do one tomorrow, but definitely on Friday, uh, I will be doing a stream. Hopefully, pretty early, but we'll see what I can do. I'll have the time out for you guys ahead of time. I'm looking to do a giveaway soon, so I'll keep that in mind as well. Stay tuned in for that. I will try to tie it into my YouTube channel probably this time so that I can drive up traffic for these streams because they are meaningful and I do want people in them. So I'm willing to put a dollar amount on that. So I appreciate you guys, uh, and I hope your families are doing well. My mom's recovering, uh, and she thanks everyone that got in on that. So make sure you guys drop a subscribe. It's free to subscribe, like Mudrunner just did. That's what that beep noise was. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Appreciate it. And yes, I am in Oklahoma, and I would love to set up or, join a meetup